Hi everybody, welcome back to glorious Sip City. It's another sunny day in Sip City, mainly due to the fact that I turned off the weather effects because they were kind of annoying me. I think the thing that annoyed me the most about the weather effects was the rain, right? Because it made the shit cliffs, it gave you that really sort of shiny look on cliffs and on roads and stuff, but apparently they patched the game and they fixed that now. So maybe I can think about turning the rain back on so that occasionally it's not just a gloriously sunny day in Sip City. But anyway, we're back. Today, we are going to extend out this industrial area that we so sort of lovingly crafted a couple of episodes ago. It's going to extend up beyond the highway. I've got a whole bunch of new assets and stuff to make it hopefully look pretty. So let's go to the time lapse, check it out, and I'll join you after for some more live commentary. So when I first built Sip City, I thought it would be really great at some point to have a big cargo yard with shipping containers and a big cargo ferry terminal where, stuff could come in from outlandish foreign lands. We could import like all of the hottest Ferraris and other things from foreign lands, and of course export all of our great wares and goods from Sip City out to them as well, using the advanced technology of boats. But I don't think this map is up to it. I don't think this map has any sort of cargo ferry connections leading out. It certainly doesn't really have that much ocean in it. And this main river that sort of cuts through Sip City leads out to a bit of a waterfall. I think maybe with some mods and a bit of terraforming, I could get a couple of connections in, and that would be cool. But I kind of think at the same time, well, we have this limitation. Let's work around it instead. So what I've opted for now instead is to have a great big train freight yard, which is kind of cool too, actually. I mean, we probably would have had one anyway. But the idea here was to extend the sort of industrial area that we'd built a couple of episodes ago, extend it up past the highway, and get a whole bunch of assets that sort of look the part for a great big train freight yard. I got a whole bunch of cement holders, like these big huge containers that hold cement. I got a whole bunch of really good assets that have big piles of ore and sort of like concrete and whatever, and just sort of connecting it all up to the tracks and connecting it up to the road infrastructure and everything as well. To make sure that, the traffic still flows and everything. I think at the end of all this, I think that the traffic probably could use a little bit of TLC, but that's something I can just, sort of fart around with here and there. I mean, we don't necessarily have to devote an episode to it, but it's something that I could just come back to and swap and change. Same with mass transportation around the city, like metro stations, buses, and stuff like that. That's all stuff that I just sort of shove in here and there whenever it's needed, sort of thing. And it seems to be working okay for now. So back to the actual industrial expansion. It was important that obviously we had this big train freight yard, but I really like sort of overhead views of industrial areas. I love how all the roads are very straight. You have all these huge warehouses, like the rooftops of warehouses. You see all of these sort of liquid and gas containers that are all sort of neatly arranged and everything. And then of course, if you're looking at a port or a very busy sort of train freight yard, there's lots of cargo containers. It just looks like there's a lot of sort of hustle and bustle around these areas. Lots of goods being delivered. Lots of goods sort of waiting to be transported in and out of the city and stuff like that. So I wanted to make sure that I placed lots of containers, made lots of little custom lots that sort of had, big piles of sand and dirt and stuff. I think our chief export in Sip City is probably sand and maybe cement as well now with these new assets, which is pretty good. I mean, that's probably pretty lucrative somewhere in the world, I'm sure. But for our purposes, it was just making sure that everything sort of looked right. So I added lots of little paths. I tried to not put too many trees, even though I did end up putting trees and grass in the end in some of the corners of some of the lots and stuff, because an industrial area doesn't necessarily have lots of trees and stuff. It's meant to be a lot more of a sort of a concrete jungle area. Well, in my eyes, anyway. So I tried to stick with that as well. But I was pretty pleased with the result in the end. I think the assets that I got from the workshop were very, very good. And just sort of arranging them and messing around with them here and there to just get them looking right was pretty good too. Another thing that I did was I got rid of all of the old oil and coal power plants that we had in Sip City. Those used to sort of be just above the, road that sort of cut in and looped around and attached up to a roundabout in the old industrial area. So I moved all the services out of there and we got some nice, great big solar plants, which, I don't know, they seem to do the job anyway. They certainly look a lot better. They're very big. So we replaced all those, added a couple of more garbage incinerators so that all of our services are sort of maxed out, or at least up to scratch anyway. And then just sort of plopped a whole bunch of industry of varying levels all around that as well. Something that's worth noting is that the industrial area, the old industrial area as it stands now, which is actually just part of this industrial area, which is an extension of it anyway, it's going to be cut into separate districts, because I think what we want to have is, because we have like the Willis neighborhood, which has now been set to only have level 1 sort of level of housing or whatever, we want to make sure that there's enough industry to provide jobs for people who are going to be living in those houses as well. So half of this district is going to be set to never grow past level 1. And that gives us a little bit of flexibility with assets and stuff that we download from the workshop and stuff too. Because a lot of assets are created for specific levels, and there's by far more assets for a level 1 building than there is for like a level 3 or just like a level 4 or whatever. I think it's easier to just stick to sort of one level, and with a mod that sort of allows us to set a whole district to stick to that level, it's very helpful too. And there we go, our new extended industrial area up into the, well, I mean, that's not actually the north of the city. I keep saying that this is the north of the city. I don't know if that is the north of the city. Anyway, that is definitely not the north of the city, but anyway, we've extended up past where we were going to have, like a cargo port or whatever, up past the highway, and we have all of these cool like pillbox things. It just looks like it looks good, doesn't it? I like all of these like sort of liquid holders and things, and then of course we have like these assets here with the sort of dusty sand and salt and I don't know, iron ore. It's just like a big pile of it. Anyway, it looks pretty cool. Willis is coming along pretty good too. Like I was saying in the time lapse, I got a mod that allows me to restrict the level at which stuff upgrades. So everything in Willis now is level 1, and that's because we wanted it to be sort of like a working class neighborhood, I guess, or the hood, I guess. But anyway, we got these like nice sort of towers sort of dotted along in here. The area that we sort of beautified last time has shrunk. It looks like this commanding sort of block of towers has sort of like siphoned the life out of this part of the hood. And maybe now this is like the sort of really built up area of the hood. But all good so far. So like if I go into here now and I, click on this, see? Level 1 residential and level 1 commercial. I haven't limited offices, and there's no industrial in here. But the idea is that this sort of whole neighborhood feeds the jobs, like the industry jobs, right? Which it doesn't seem to be doing right now. And that's probably why we're going to spend some of this episode, if not all the rest of this episode, filling in some of the gaps here with houses. I think Willis could do with actually having a hospital too, because the only hospital we have in the city right now is, oh yeah, here. I almost forgot. I mean, it's not that far away. Should we have another hospital, or should we think about having a hospital downtown eventually? Maybe we can hold off on the hospital. One thing we definitely do need to do, though, is get more houses. We need lots of uneducated workers. That's what all of these businesses are looking for, right? See, like, we need to have 12, but we only have 2. And then we have no spots for educated people to work here, but 2 educated people have made the trek out today to this part of the city to work because they're just sick of not having a job, right? So we're going to have to, like, sort of mess around with the balance of all that. Anyway, so here we are in Willis. Willis is, of course, like I said, a working class neighborhood. I really like the 1x1 houses, especially at level 1. It's like up close, they're not much to look at, but from far away, the effect is quite nice, isn't it? It's sort of like gives it that uniformed look, right? And it doesn't look like a future prison, like some of the other neighborhoods tend to look like. But anyway, Willis is coming along pretty good. We have Home Plus, which is a 24-hour shopping center for all of the residents of Willis to make their way to. And we've got some connections here for metro bus and stuff. They're not amazing. I mean, this bus line doesn't even really fully cover Willis, but I'll mess around with that after. And then the metro line is a little bit of a mess. Actually, mass transportation citywide is a bit of a mess. But it is packing them in. Look at this. There's like 3,000 people per week using the metro, which is crazy. And 1,580 per week using the buses. I think our bus routes could be a little bit better, but again, I'll probably fix that later. All right, well, let's hop in, I guess, and start, adding some houses. I think we're going to go for low density. I think most of this should be low density because we don't want to have too much high density because we've got this huge block of towers, which is sort of arranged in like a cross, like... I mean, maybe actually having the hospital in the middle of this would have been more suitable because, it's got like a medical cross or whatever. But instead, we've just packed in a bunch of high rises. I don't know. I kind of like that. I think it looks nice. Like, it does look very sort of, I don't know. Maybe it's like Soviet Russia or something. But at the same time, there's a lot of people living here. Well, I say that. There's not that many people living here. I mean, these look like big-ass tower blocks to me. And there's only like... a couple of people living here. Like, there should be more, I think. There's 15 young adults living in here. There's no children. Well, there's 1 child in there. There's 6 in there. Okay. Well, we don't have any parks or anything for those kids. So hopefully they're having fun just, throwing mattresses off the roof or whatever people tend to do in high rises. Like jumping down elevator shafts. That was a big thing, wasn't it? I remember watching a documentary about like a council estate, and the elevators weren't working for some reason at one point, and kids were like killing themselves by, jumping from one side of the elevator to the other, like over the open shaft, like because the elevator wasn't working or something. It was really, really bizarre. But it just goes to show that if you don't have any parks or anything around where you live, maybe you'll resort to that, and maybe it's not the best. Do we want to get a couple of stores in here? I feel like maybe we should. We should get like a couple of we'll put in a couple of strategic corner stores, shall we? Like maybe have a really big one here too. Just so that people can go down there and buy milk and eggs and stuff like that, not have to bother their neighbors. Because that's usually a big no-no, isn't it? I don't know about where you guys live, but... where I live, I don't want anyone, knocking on my door asking for, like, some sugar or eggs or not that kind of sugar, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes, like, if you're baking and you don't feel like going all the way to the store, you might go to your neighbor's house and say, listen, can I borrow some sugar? Or, I mean, you shouldn't say, can I have some sugar? Because maybe that'll be taken the wrong way. But certainly you should be able to say, hi, can I please borrow some sugar? I'm trying to make some brownies for my family or something like that. And then they would probably be like, yeah, okay. But I don't want anyone doing that to me at the same time because, when you're just at home and you're trying to relax and stuff, you don't want your neighbors knocking on your door every 5 seconds asking for stuff, right? Like, your neighbors should be able to figure it out for themselves. And they should be able to get their own sugar when they do their grocery shopping trip, or just make their way down to Quiet Corner Shop. Holy shit, that worked surprisingly according to plan. Look at that. There's nobody working here except for one highly educated person who's decided to work at the Quiet Corner Shop. But it is servicing the residents, and it's Sally's. Nice. Okay, that's pretty good. So we're just going to pack in a couple of people here. That's really good. Our demand for residential is lowering, but I don't see how, because we're still, we still need to actually pack some people into these jobs, these like level 1 factories or whatever. Level 1 factories are cool because they're dirty, right? Like, yeah, they're like all the smokestack factories and stuff. I mean, these aren't factories. These are just incineration plants, so they all look the same. Maybe I should get a better incineration plant. I don't know. These look okay, but when they're all clumped together, they don't look that good. But look at these. Like, these level 1s are really good, right? You got Frank's Fish Stick Factory, of course, but it's got, like, the nice warehouse top. It's got the sunroofs in there, too. This is, of course, the Box Factory. And then you get these little things, too, right? Ready to Wear Limited, which operates out of, like, a liquid container. Garments Limited as well. And Goods Limited. So, I guess... they import all their goods and garments and everything in liquid or gas form, and then maybe they use Goods Unlimited to sort of make it into like a solid good or whatever. But this is all wrong, right? We have 7 highly educated people working here. We don't need any. Well, actually, what we need is 12 uneducated people. So we want to make sure that these people that are moving into Willis here right now are very, very not educated, right? Like, for instance, we have 4 uneducated people who have moved into the Sycamore residence, which is very good, actually. 1 child, 4 adults. I'm guessing that the child is being educated. Maybe the adults aren't. I guess we'll have to consult our education map. Okay, well, this is great, okay? Because, I mean, I say that it's great. It's not great, but there's no education coverage here whatsoever, and that's exactly what we need, because we need to get a lot of people in here to fill these jobs. Okay, so we're on the right track, I think. It's just going to take a little bit of doing. We're sort of, like, breaking the mold here a little bit, too, because we made these neighborhoods or like these blocks, I guess, are a little bit bigger. So these houses are going to be a bit bigger, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? We want to have like great big uneducated families moving in here and tearing shit up and going to work at the factories that we've just created. That's the main thing. We don't want any like fancy like lawyers or bankers or anything like that. No, no, no. Definitely not. I mean, maybe later. I mean, that it kind of reminds me actually that we do need to have. I mean, we have like the Uncle Phil Heights or whatever, but well, I mean, I guess they're looking pretty nice. I mean, some of these houses are looking pretty nice in Uncle Phil Heights. It's gotta be said. But we need like a Hollywood Hills sort of area. We're probably gonna work on a Hollywood Hills area maybe next time or something. I'm thinking here because there's a hill already. Or maybe just making this hill a bit bigger and then literally plastering it with trees and having all these like windy roads and stuff that lead up into the hills with all these like super mansions and stuff. I don't know if I can get super mansions like on the workshop, but there are definitely some assets for nice houses that have pools and stuff like that. So we might be in luck. All right, anyway, let's get back to packing these people in. I mean, they're not packed in too badly, right? It's not like they're living in high rises. At least they have a little bit of space to sort of, you know, spread their wings, right? In this sort of like mini suburb that we've created. They have, well, I mean, they are really packed in, but most of them sort of have lawns, like in the backyard. No? Kinda. Maybe not these guys so much, but these ones do. Well, they have to share a backyard. Is that a thing? Like, do you currently live in a place where you share a backyard with your neighbor? I mean, I wouldn't want to share a backyard with my neighbor. I mean, this is the guy that doesn't even want to share like milk or sugar with his neighbor. But I definitely would not want to share like part of my property with my neighbor. That would drive me crazy. But I imagine there's some places in the world where that happens, right? It's got to be the case. Anyway, let's get in here with some trees. Because these people, whether they like it or not, in their shared backyards, might appreciate a tree or two. You know, just to like put a tire swing on or have a sandwich under or, you know, do their taxes. If the day's really nice, you know, they could maybe do their taxes. These people are not going to have a backyard. They're just going to have a path right behind their house. And then we're going to charge more rent for these houses down here that actually have a backyard that's currently just filled with trees. But that's not necessarily a bad thing either. Because it'll make you forget that actually you don't really have a backyard. Because you're just going to be mesmerized by all these trees. And maybe that's the point of trees. Maybe that's why we have to put all these trees in here to make it look nice. Actually, we just got to fill these gaps because they just look a little bit ugly. Well, I think they do anyway. I don't like these, like, just sort of grassy areas at the back of houses or whatever. I like to fill it up with trees. Because when you look at it from far away, look, it looks much better, doesn't it? Well, I guess that's debatable. I don't know if I don't know if it can ever look good because this is right next to it. Man, we really packed them in. That's pretty good. Okay, so how are we looking over here? Oh, okay. This is looking a bit better. I mean, there's still... Okay, well, there's 2 here. We need 16, and there's 2 that have turned up. There's none there. There's none there. 4 there. Okay, so slowly we're getting there. People are kind of thinking about coming to work, but not really. Look, the traffic is getting kind of bad. It's still flowing fairly well. But like I was saying in the time lapse, it could do with a bit of work, right? Like, we could really do with just sort of sorting it out. I think... well, I don't know. I mean, there's this big old road that comes down here. It connects up to here. This is going to be a really busy intersection, which actually could be made into a roundabout or whatever. But I feel like the further we go from the Gonzo district and Old Town and like this sort of like old, nice part of town, the further out here we go, the more sort of Americanized the city is becoming. I don't know. Maybe not. I mean, maybe this is like typically like European or whatever. Or maybe this is just nothing. But I don't know. I feel like what we've gone for over here is much more sort of American to like say what we've gone for in here and around here. Oh, look at the nice castle. It's really good. It's like a Disney princess's castle, but it's in Sip City right now, which is very, very nice. Excellent. Okay, so, well, like I said, we're slowly getting there anyway. Whether this whole area is like overly American or not, maybe doesn't even matter. I don't know if I really mind that much, actually. Like, sometimes I don't like grids and stuff, but other times I do. You know, like, sometimes you just sort of think, yeah, well, I'm just gonna pack them all in there like it's like a battery farm or whatever. These are people we're talking about, of course, but, you know, it's just the way that it goes sometimes. Alright, fine. That will probably do. Yeah, okay, that's okay. Well, we'll have to, like, figure out what we're gonna put in this gap here, but it'll probably be houses and stuff. And it should be okay, actually. Alright, let's go for, like, these, like, you know, 2x2 houses or 1x2 houses, I guess. They can make 1x2 houses as well. I mean, these don't necessarily all have to be 1x1. Like, I guess most of the rest of the neighborhood is already 1x1, so we could maybe have slightly bigger houses out this way. And there's more space to cover here, too, right? Because these boxes or whatever aren't really the best. They're a little bit of a waste of space, but the idea is to just get a whole bunch of people in, right? So I think we'll be able to like that. That's pretty good. We get some paths and stuff back here too, so that these people can visit each other as well. I mean, you could go to your neighbors for sugar, or you could just like take this cool path and go like halfway across the city and visit, you know, your neighbor who lives in like uptown and ask for some sugar. That wouldn't be annoying at all, would it? Let's connect this up to here actually, so that people can actually like walk right through. And we need some water pipes here too. Okay, fine. Well, just add these like this and like that, that. Perfect. All right, we'll let that grow, and then we can let all of these people come to their new jobs out here in whatever this district is going to be called. We should probably make it into a district, but like I said, this is going to be a separate district to the one down here, because we want all of this stuff, or, well, actually, do we want all of this stuff to remain level 1 too? It's not a bad idea. I mean, the thing is, the level 1 industry doesn't make as much money as like the level 3 industry or whatever. So you have to have a lot more of it, but I don't know if it's like necessarily a bad thing. Well, it's called Hamilton Hills now. So we got Smellsville. What the hell should we call this place? Let's call it Stinkerland. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so we got Smellsville and Stinkerland, and they're sort of like side by side. They're separated by a highway, but there's fairly good access to. Wow, there's a lot of traffic. Like, could you just look at this for hours? Like, imagine this was your screensaver. Just, you know, these little cars going around, especially when they don't get in jams. Like, as long as it's nice and smooth and just keeps flowing, I could stare at this and be mesmerized by it for hours. Look at this. It looks really nice, doesn't it? I like how all little cars just glide around, go around the Dingleheimer and, you know, come back down here. And they're all going about their business. Look, this little causeway It's actually quite busy. I guess it's like a little bit of a vital link from like Old Town up into like this area or whatever. And of course we have Bon Jovi Way, which we made a couple of episodes ago, which is still rocking these high rises. Actually, some of them are looking pretty nice. Look at this one. The Spring Residence. It's not even fully level 5 yet. Level 4 is pretty nice though, isn't it? So we need to fill up some space in here, which is fine. We'll probably do like a bit of terraforming and maybe add some of these walls and stuff in and around here. There's a bit more space for some industry, but I can probably fill those gaps later. And then the idea is that Willis is going to come all the way to the tracks and have some connections into this area too, because we're hoping that most of the people that are working here in Stinkerland are going to come from Willis in the first place, right? Oh man, look at this. Jeez. What's on the other side of this? Oh, there's more houses. Okay, fine. So the houses are just slowly building as the demand sort of fluctuates or whatever. Well, we're back in the green money-wise anyway. It seems to dip and dive a lot. I'll tell you what hit it pretty hard was turning this entire neighborhood into restricted to level 1. Because level 5 housing actually does generate quite a bit of money for you. But when you're relying only on level 1, you really have to get your sprawl on in a major way to get back into the green. See, look, we keep dipping down. I think it's just like this sort of, we're in this like flux where the industry, there's still quite a bit of demand for industry, but it doesn't realize it yet. And then there's going to be a lot of demand for residential, but it doesn't quite realize it yet. Like it almost feels like it's like trying to catch up or whatever. Oh man, look at all these containers. It's got to be said, a lot of these have been individually placed. I think it looks really nice, though. I really like all of these container lots and stuff. It almost looks like a big like car scrapyard or like a used car lot or something if you look at from like very far away. But that's looking pretty good. I think Stinkerland is probably okay for now. We're going to extend it out. I don't know if we're going to fully extend it out into this area. What we might end up doing is having houses and stuff here instead. And houses here too. So we might have a new neighborhood over here. And then I think what we're going to do eventually as well is, even though we're not depending on cargo ferries coming into the city or whatever, we're still going to have like a little sort of like ferry sort of terminal area that's going to somehow connect up to Stinkerland and Smellsville too. Because we want to pretend that we do actually import and export goods by ferry, but it just goes down river and leads to like somewhere else, even though I'm sure that that's the ocean, but we may never get to it. We may never get those links, but we'll have to see. All right, well, there you go. Another episode of Sip City where we continue to expand and grow and hopefully keep the city working and hopefully keep it looking nice and stuff too. Like I was saying, next time I think we're gonna try to make some sort of like really hoity-toity like fancy area, maybe up here or maybe around here in the hills. We want to get like some, you know, nice mansions and stuff for people to live in and make the people of Uncle Phil Heights really, really jealous and have somewhere for them to want to move to, right? We kind of need to tidy up this area too, because we've got like the world's tallest fishing pier here, and of course we've also got fishing tours, which hilariously isn't even in the water anymore, and I guess that's because we're drawing most of the water out of the river before it gets down here. So like I don't even know if fishing tours can work. I mean, 9 people visited last week, but maybe those 9 people just visited to laugh at the fact that there's no longer water underneath this pier. Well, I mean, people seem to be actually coming out here, so who knows? We'll have to figure it out. But we could probably do with an area for this stuff that's not just like in Uncle Phil Heights. We'll probably like move it up in around here or somewhere, or maybe here, so that, you know, it's like an incentive. Don't fall off the boat, because guess what's in here? That's right, it's chocolate. You don't want to fall in there. It'll just be like Charlie in the Chocolate Factory when the fat guy accidentally falls into the chocolate river and he dies. Well, he doesn't actually get killed. Like, they use the vacuum thing and they suck him out or whatever, but there you go. Anyway, excellent. All right, well, as usual, thank you very much for watching. We will return soon with some more Sip City, and I hope you're enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. It's fun seeing the city expand out and get bigger and better and louder and tougher and all of those other ers. It's very nice, isn't it? Excellent. All right, well, as usual, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time!